play, LSU will beat LSU. But I actually don't even want to see a team. I want people to realize that putting together these conferences the way you're putting them together, if you end up with 2 losses, you're not in the championship game, or even a loss this coming year. And I just don't think any Southeastern Conference team, Alabama has the best shot because of the defense and the schedule. But you know what, we're going to break it down next week, but I think Penn State's going to beat Alabama. But we'll talk more about that next week. I think it'll be a lot closer than people realize. So if it's not Nebraska, it's my dark horse. I think it's OU Stanford. Now we'll get back to Texas for just a minute because I want to show you. If any of you have seen this magazine on the magazine stands, this is pure fluff. This is like absolute garbage. When you read this thing, it almost reads like Texas is going to go undefeated. The only game they have that's even close to being tough is OU. And they'll talk about like the best players and coaches in the Big 12 history, and like they begrudgingly tell us that Bob Stoops was the best coach in Big 12 history. Like they had to. They didn't want to, but they had to. But Mack Brown's a very, very close second. That's even after his 5 and 7 season. So if you see this, it's just trash. Just get rid of it. It's not even worth having. This right here is obviously the real magazine to have. We all know that. This is like the Bible of college sports. In fact, I would like to interview Phil Steele, and I'm going to contact him and see if I can actually interview him about halfway through the season, see how his predictions are going. Because we all hear from him at the beginning of the season. I hear him on every show. But I kind of want to touch base with him about halfway through the season and see how it's lining up and see how he feels. Because with injuries and so forth, I'm sure some of these things can, be altered. And you know what? I hadn't even checked, but I wonder if Phil still he should have he should have his own website, meaning that live feed website where his predictions can kind of be altered, changed depending on injuries and stuff. And he probably does have that. I've just been busy in the magazine and stuff, so I would like to talk to him. And in here, he talks up Tulsa quite a bit. And so we can't take him for granted. It is at home, but in the end, their defense is weak. And as long as we're not making turnovers and we're not trying to be too vanilla, and we do what we need to do with the running game, because we need to find a couple running backs, and we're hearing some good things, but we're going to get to see them live action on Saturday night. So as long as we take care of business, we're going to score over 40-something points. There's no way Tulsa's going to score that much on us. So we'll take care of that. I think our toughest home game, though, this year is going to be A&M. And honestly, that's another team that we're going to have to deal with. Even though they're leaving the conference, I think the A&M game in Norman is going to be tough. I know defensively they're iffy, but their offense is tough. And they got some players, Gray and Fuller, and it's going to be a tough game. And I'm looking for that one to be close. But we'll get to that later on in the season. We'll see what injuries have shaken out by then. Obviously, Travis Lewis will be back and so forth. So with that, the only thing I can say is that if Kirk Herbstreit picked Oregon in the championship game, then they're going to get beat the first week, because we all know how Herbie's predictions go. So LSU over Oregon. Close. I see Georgia over Boise State, even because of the uniforms. They're so crazy. And I'm not sure that's going to be close. I got to be honest. I think Georgia has got a statement to make, and Boise I know I'm not a Boise hater. I like Boise, and if they win the game, I'll be happy for them. But for me, my gut's telling me that Georgia's going to rise up and put Boise in its place right off the bat, so we can quit hearing about Boise and whether they go undefeated and should they jump one of the other BCS teams. So they'll take care of that. But my upset special is Middle Tennessee State over Purdue. Middle Tennessee State's an older team. They got a bunch of seniors, and they got a good quarterback, and their receiving core is very underrated. They run a kind of a wide open offense with 4 receivers, and I fully expect them to put plenty of points on Purdue, even at Purdue. And so whatever the line is for Purdue, I expect Middle Tennessee State to cover, but I actually expect Middle Tennessee State to pull off the upset. So that will be my upset special for this week. And so with that, you know what, I'm going to do a post-game video Sunday after the game, Sunday, Monday, and you'll get my reactions to what happened to the game and for the week. And, oh, yes, one last thing, the Miami Cocaines. can't leave without saying something about them. Are we having a pity party for them because they're missing all those guys for the game against Maryland? No, of course not. In fact, I love the board, the Miami board. They're talking about how not going to miss these guys and they're still going to be Maryland and all this. Are they kidding me? They're going to have to play like 6 or 7 true freshmen on the defense in the first week? No, we know how that goes. That's going to be a disaster. It's going to be chaos. And Maryland actually has a dang good quarterback. I fully expect Maryland to work on, which would be sweet. And as far as the other stuff with Shapiro and the Ponzi scheme and the whole deal, Miami's in trouble. They're not going to get the death penalty. They should, but they're not going to get it. But they're going to get hit really hard with the sanctions. So, and of course, we're looking forward to that. Any true Oklahoma Sooner is not going to, root for Miami to catch any break at all. It's kind of like with USC, and USC. It's a funny thing. I heard Scott Van Pelt talk about USC today on the radio, and he was saying that it looked like USC wasn't going to get hit there, or maybe it was Dan Patrick, but he was talking about USC looks like they're going to work through it and stuff. And I'm thinking, you know what? Well, they're working through not having to play any bowl games, but they haven't started their scholarship limitations yet. And so let's see what happens when they have to do that for 3 years, so they can only recruit 15 players a year and so forth. And then let's see what they, how they do, because they put that off with the appeal and all this, players that they've been able to like hoard in and stuff based on these little loopholes in the rules and stuff. But when they really have to actually, abide by the rules, then we'll see what happens to USC. I think my surprise team in the Pac-10 is going to be UCLA. I don't think they're going to win the conference, but I actually think that with them or Arizona State playing the championship game, and I actually think Rick Neuheisel, who I do know, he was on my baseball team when I was younger, and we'll talk more about that later. But the Weasel himself will have UCLA win 8, 9 games this year, possibly 10. That's a stretch, but I do see him winning at least 8, more than likely 9, and maybe even being the representative in the first championship game against Stanford in the Pac-10. And they'll have to play at Stanford, and Stanford will beat them. I'm not sure who Stanford's going to lose to, but they're going to be. I think Stanford will end up being 11-1. But I think because of the way things are going to work out with the Southeastern Conference and the Big Ten, that Stanford will be the other team. OU will go undefeated, and it'll be OU versus Stanford. Luck will get a lot of pub. He'll probably end up winning the Heisman. Of course, we'd love to see Landry win it, but Luck is tough. I mean, I've never seen someone more polished and ready for the pros come back like he did. Not even Sam Bradford was as polished as Luck is, and when he came back. And as long as he stays healthy and so forth, Stanford's going to be tough to beat. So with that, Boomer Sooner baby, number 8 is on the way, and I'll see you guys again a day or two after OU throttles Tulsa.